So, Adrian, you've had a variety of things you've done over the years, but we're here today to talk about Chatsbrook.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me more. Just literally splurge it out. Tell me everything you can about it.
So the business was started in 2017. I started it after, so my background was in car sales, and I kind of reached a point after probably 16 years or so where, do you know what? I want to do something on my own. I want to do something with a bit of purpose. So Chatsbrook came about because of that reason. Initially, when I started the business, it was very much focused towards high-end cars and premium car finance.
Okay.
And then I very quickly learned that the customers that we're dealing with actually had a need for commercial finance, business finance. So off the back of that, I then started transacting with asset finance. So we were dealing with diggers, dumpers, machines, and we were still at this stage, early stages, as a broker. So we sat in the intermediary space. So what does that mean? That when a customer comes to us, then we would facilitate the finance for a commission. But after a period of time, my ambition was always to move towards being a lender. So I felt there was a gap in the market, and in November 2021, we commenced our own lending, and we started our own lending book. And that's probably our biggest USP in our market compared to our competitors.
Wow. So you've had quite a journey there, going from luxurious vehicles to dumper trucks and forklifts and bits and pieces like that to actually having your own loan book.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the assets that we've funded or had inquiries with that we've taken through, it's everything from Ferraris, helicopters. I think the strangest inquiry has to be we refinanced some cattle. So we had a cattle farmer who had livestock that needed to draw some funds out. So we took the passports for the cattle and subsequently funded them, and the customer able to go and buy some more.
And, oh my goodness, Adrian, what happened if he didn't pay?
Well, you have to go and repossess them.
And that's another world of where'd you put the cattle? What would you have done with them?
Probably Waitrose.
Probably Waitrose. And I mean, this is what you're all about, isn't it? It's about supporting those businesses which are a little bit non-traditional, I guess, in that whole finance space.
Absolutely.
We've gone from that space of suddenly saying we want big money to develop things right away down to someone who's looking at buying more cattle.
Yeah.
That for me is fascinating because, as you know, I'm passionate about the whole micro business piece, and sometimes cash flow, getting finance, looking at what they can offset against getting some funds is often a really, really interesting space, and one which they find quite difficult in normal mainstream lending environments. Is that the same sort of feeling you get?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I take pride in the fact that with ourselves, we like to look at every single opportunity we have come across the table. There isn't one particular sector or customer that we will always favour. Yeah, we'll look at anything. And if I suppose because I've been through the journey of starting a business from scratch, I understand the pain and the challenges that other business owners will get. And that is where I do feel we are different to other mainstream lenders.
Well, I think it's interesting, Adrian. We've mentioned this before, but on some instances, you can go online and you can draw your little bead along and say how much you want to earn, and the computer either says yes or it says no. You're real life. You're a conversation. You're going and see the eyeballs and discuss what actually is needed. And that's fascinating. That's absolutely crucial, I think.
Them online quotes, I'm not the biggest fan of them because whilst that fixes one problem, and it fixes the problem for the customer right then, and that is to give them funding. But does it really help them long term? No, it doesn't. That's just a plaster for the short term period.
It's a short term solution, which may be quite financially difficult as that solution continues if they haven't looked at the whole thing.
Absolutely. And what we will do, and I do feel this is another USP for us, is we'll look at a customer and think, okay, let's do some stage payments. Let's actually, if a customer comes to us and wants to borrow, let's say £15,000, we'll look at that and think, actually, 15,000 may overburden them, but why don't we lend them 5,000? And then in 6 months' time, look to increase that facility to 10,000, and 6 months' time, increase the facility again to 15,000. All the time, they're meeting the monthly payments, and we're not over-leveraging.
And what's the other interesting thing around that, Adrian, is the fact that you're having that dialogue.
Absolutely.
You've actually discussed with them about the amount that they need, whether or not it's appropriate, whether or not they can afford it. But more than that, is it right for the business? Because we see this so many times. People suddenly go, oh, I've just got a loan of £50,000. Did you actually need 50?
Yeah.
And do you start paying back the 50 with the 50 you've just borrowed?
Yeah.
All of these things are real life scenarios. And I'm with you. It's not always the huge money that you need at the time you need it. And look at the journey of the business. So what have you done in Suffolk, Norfolk? Who have you? What are the sort of businesses? Talk to me about them.
So if I look at one of our customers, that there's a case study that we've got out there, and that is a Sheringham fisherman.
Okay.
So customer came to us, had tried to go to the banks to go and get funding. You had dad and two sons. One of the sons, Simon, when we were talking to him, early stages, he came to us to look for funding to buy his next crab fishing boat. All the banks said no. Gentleman's got no trading history. Well, he won't have trading history because he's been working with his dad. So he came to us. We got to know Simon. We funded the boat, we funded the licence, we funded the engine. Little did I know at this point that they all came as separate parts, as like a Meccano kit. And today, Simon now employs, he's got one member of staff. He set up the East of England fisherman safety group who meet every quarter. And he's got his own business. He's got a mortgage. Yeah, that guy had everyone closed the door on him, but he came to us. And we helped facilitate him.
And this is the interesting piece, isn't it? If you hadn't supported him, then what?
He wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Whereas now he's got growth, he's got opportunity, he's putting his knowledge, his resources into other people, he's employing people. So actually the economy grows as a result of a small conversation.
That's all it was.
And that for me is fundamental, because so many times, and we hear it time and time again in many small businesses, or those even starting out, we're not quite sure who to talk to.
Agreed.
Where do we go? What do we do? Where can I have a decent conversation around finance? And that's the other interesting thing for me, Adrian, is that no one seems to open that door unless it is go and talk to your bank manager.
But the bank managers, they're not on the ground. They're not actually talking to people. They're not visible anymore. And another example of someone is there's a company in Norwich called Regit, and they're well known. And Regit came to us after a few years of trying to get funding. I can remember today the phone call I had with the owner. We met up. We went into his new premises. He had just taken the lease on. It was like walking into a colander. Yeah, the place was literally leaking with water. We got behind that project. And today, at the end of next year, I should say, 2027, they will be the largest trade apprenticeship provider. And credit to them, because they're the ones who are doing all the work. All we did was facilitate at the start. But I went there the other day as part of their open day just to watch, and the energy in that place, it's just next level.
But this is the important thing for me, Adrian, is 5.5 million micro businesses out there. You've got 25,000 in Suffolk, 35,000 in Norfolk. Who's out there supporting them? That's my biggest question on a daily basis. Where can we get the information? Where can we get the opportunities? Where can we signpost them for that conversation? Because for me, the conversations are important more than anything else.
Absolutely.
And it was a revelation when Chatsbrook came along and said, we might be able to support some of the small businesses you're working with, Alex. I'm like, really? And tell me more, Adrian, because is this part of the British Business Bank? Do we do startup loans? How does it all work? And you told me you can cover all aspects.
Absolutely.
Which for me is superb. So from my perspective, I know that there's a route to opportunity, and from someone who knows the industry, which is not my forte in any respect, and will have a good, honest discussion without it being financially biased. And that's the other piece, because we see a lot of small businesses quite worried that they are being sold a product rather than what's necessarily beneficial for them. And what you're telling me is that's not what we do.
No, far from it. If I look at us as a business, and if I sort of wind it back to the broker stage for one moment, the fact we've got broker lenders on our panel, then the benefit the customer gets there is if it's something that perhaps our own lending book doesn't fit the brief because of the rates, because our own lending book will always be a touch more because of the way we're backed, which I'll come on to. Then what we'll do, we'll place them with the appropriate lender. So they get the best of both worlds of us. And what we'll also do, and I'll go back to the apprenticeship firm in Norwich, what we'll do with them, we've taken them from literally a startup business. Today, we will now place their business with one of our mainstream lenders. So we will give them the best advice, the best outcome for them.
And what's interesting is you're watching their journey.
Absolutely.
All the time you're seeing what's beneficial, what's the opportunity. And if you can't provide the right product at the right time for what they need, then you look elsewhere.
Correct.
Which is superb.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb. So you're going to mention you're a little bit more on your own loan book. Explain to me.
So what I particularly like about our own loan book is, me personally, I'm from Norfolk, and the loan book is very much, it's local money for local businesses.
Okay.
So if I dig a little deeper, put it into numbers, we have lent to Norfolk and Suffolk businesses over £5.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and in reality, we're not a bank. We are we're an 8-person team. We're a small business ourselves. We haven't got plethoras of systems and behind it all. You are talking right now to the person who's going to make ultimately probably the credit decision. And when the investors get behind us, we will talk to them about who are our customers, what value do we add to them. We'll also bring all our investors together as well. Now we're trying to do that every other year, and that's an opportunity for them to get to meet each other, get to know each other, and build a little bit of a business community around us. And that has been vital to us.
Well, I think it's superb because actually, at the end of the day, local people doing local things progresses everybody in the locality. It seems really basic. But actually the money stays local and you can see it. And that's the beneficial piece for me, is that then through your case studies, your testimonials, everyone can see people who they know. They see the businesses which, like you said earlier, then become the training providers. The training providers then supply the support and the skills for the businesses which are there. So back to your very first point, Adrian, you just wanted to do something which has real impact and does good.
Agreed.
I think you've achieved it, man. I really think you've achieved it. So that's amazing. So if there's any businesses who are listening to this and they want to access some support from you, or they want to get some further financial information, what's the best route to do? What should they do, Adrian?
Easiest way, visit our website,
Okay.
chatsbrook.co.uk.
Okay.
Alternatively, give us a call on our landline, 01603 733 500, or drop me a message on LinkedIn. You will find us. If you look, you'll find us. Just look for Chatsbrook.
That's absolutely superb. Thank you, Adrian. Really, really appreciate it. And I believe this is probably going to be the start of many a conversation around finance and other opportunities.
I think there will be, yeah.
Thanks ever so much, Adrian.
Thank you.
Pleasure.